All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be previewing the conference finals. Got the final four teams left in the league. I want to preview both series here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, get closer and closer as the days go on. So support on the channel, be very much appreciated. Link to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we're here at the conference finals. We're going to preview both series here today. We're going to start on the Eastern Conference side first. Knicks, Pacers. And the Knicks taking out the Celtics in 6 games, while the Pacers took out the Cavs in 5 games. Who would have thought? You know, an insane run for both of these teams. You know, Pacers making it back to the conference finals, and Knicks making it to their first conference finals since 2000, and this should be a very good series. We got, they battled last year, where the Pacers won in 7 games in the second round over New York because New York's injuries kind of took over them, but the Pacers also played very, very well. And yeah, man, this should be a really, really fun series. Kind of an old rivalry from the 90s and early 2000s back here again. They played it last year, so got a budding rivalry here. Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, in New York. Like, this should be a really, really fun series. This is honestly kind of both these series, but more this series, I'm still kind of very torn about what I think is gonna happen and who I think will win. Looking at these matchups and some of this stuff, Jalen Brunson probably gonna have to go up against Andrew Nembhard, and it's probably the easiest matchup he's had to play. When in the first round he was playing up against Asar Thompson. Last round he had to face against Derek White, Jrue Holiday, those great defensive guards, and now he's got Andrew Nembhard, which the Pacers have been very good defensively. They've been very good defensively. They've really exceeded my expectations defensively of what they could do. I knew they were a decent defense, but they've been doing really well. And Andrew Nembhard's been doing very, very well. But Jalen Brunson, Andrew Nembhard also being kind of like maybe he's not a small guard, but he's not like a big, stocky guard. Brunson could have his way with him, or maybe they switch and put Aaron Nesmith on him at some points. I don't really know. I'm interested to see how if the Knicks go with another double big lineup, like they did against Boston, where Cat and Mitchell Robinson both be out there, because the Pacers, they have a lot of spacing. Everybody that comes on the court for the Pacers can shoot the ball. So I'm very interested to see how the Knicks combat with the double big lineup, how the Pacers combat with the double big lineup, because the Pacers don't really run double bigs. So if anything, the Pacers go small. There's a lot of times in the Cavs series where they went small and put like Pascal at the 5 and tried to stretch out. So I'm very interested to see if they try to do their own form of double big, which I doubt. But how many times they go small, and if they do go small, can the Knicks find a way to take advantage of that in terms of getting to the paint? Because I feel like if you can get to the paint on the Pacers, I feel like you can have a pretty good job. And the Knicks, having those two bigs, having Jalen Brunson, a guy that's going to keep attacking, is going to be big. Some X factors for the Knicks. I think it's really still going to have to be the wings, OG and Mikal. The Pacers' wings have been doing very good this playoffs, and Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, but they don't play the same game the way for the Knicks, if OG and Mikal, or at least one of those two, are having a really good offensive game, the Knicks become a way different team. Because once they have to rely on only Brunson and Towns, it kind of gets to a point where it's like, all right, we're just going to guard those two, and it gets really predictable at times, and it's just Brunson and Towns have to combine for 70 or 60, but when they have one of either OG or Mikal really scoring and attacking, not just 3-point shooting, but especially OG, like attacking the rim, I think that's going to be a huge factor in this series. Because again, I feel like if you can get to the rim on the Pacers, you could do a pretty good job. For the Knicks, it's really going to be about their defense, obviously, their perimeter defense. The Pacers are a team that obviously they move the ball around a whole lot. Everybody gets involved. They play really fast and with a lot of ball movement. So I'm very interested to see how the Knicks defensive communication goes. The Knicks haven't been the best defensive team in the regular season. They weren't the same old Knicks defensive team, but they've been very solid here in this postseason. So I'm very interested to see how the defense communications, and the perimeter defense of the Knicks really holds up. But you do have OG and Mikal, which is going to be very interesting to see how Tyrese Halliburton combats this, because Tyrese Halliburton has had to face defenders like that. Tyrese Halliburton in Buck series, he had to face off against who? Like Gary Trent and like Taurean Prince. In the Cavs series, he had Max Strus on him a lot of times. Like this series, he's probably gonna have Mikal, OG, or Josh Hart, 3 really good defenders guarding him at all times. So I'm very interested to see how Tyrese Halliburton does in terms of his because he's been very confident in terms of his attacking. And when I said it before, like an aggressive Tyrese Halliburton makes this team so much different. A Tyrese Halliburton that actually looks to score at times makes his team so much different. So I'm very interested to see how Tyrese Halliburton attacks and how he does when he's got an All NBA type of defender guarding him in either OG or McHale. I think for the Pacers, I think their depth is going to have to be a big important factor. The Knicks are not a deep team. We all know that. They have a really good starting five. Mitchell Robinson gives him some good minutes. Miles McBride can maybe hit a shot or two, but besides that, they don't really have a lot of Cameron Payne. Maybe can hit a shot once in a while, but they don't have a deep team. The Pacers, their strength, and they're probably the deepest team maybe left in the postseason potentially. I don't know. You can make an argument. Like they run 9, 10 guys. They're comfortable running 9 to 10 guys. They're going out there. So guys like TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, like those Bending Mathurin. I think those three and those wild cards off the bench are gonna have to play big factors because the Pacers can win the bench scoring battle, and the Pacers can and those guys can come off the bench and provide a big impact. I think that can really make a big difference, in this series with the Knicks. Once one of their 5 guys are out, the team kind of goes down a little bit. Well, the Pacers, they have guys like TJ McConnell come up and score 12, 14 points. Bennedict Mathurin can have a 20-point game. Obi Toppin can have a 16, 18-point game off the bench. And just stack up when the Pacers already, you already know their starting five is going to score a lot of points. If those guys can tack on more, it's going to really, really help them in this series. So I think the bench is going to be a big factor for Indiana. Again, very interested to see how they attack Jalen Brunson, what Jalen Brunson can do in this series. Miles Turner versus Cat, I guess that center matchup is going to be good. Not Miles Turner doesn't have the offensive load that Cat has, but Miles Turner defensively, is going to be a big factor in the series. Karl-Anthony Towns obviously offensively, because kind of similar to what I said in the Celtics, or yeah, kind of the Celtics in the Pistons series. I don't think the Pacers really have someone that can kind of guard like Miles Turner is their best chance at guarding Karl-Anthony Towns. So that could be a good matchup. But if Miles Turner is out the game, I think Cat should be able to eat, because after that you're going to be guarded by Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam, Thomas Bryant if he gets minutes, Joyce Walker if he gets minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns can really dominate there. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for this series. Ultimately, my prediction, I'm still kind of torn a little bit on my prediction and what I think is gonna. I think this is at least a 6-game series. I don't see any of these teams sweeping or winning in 5 games. Like I don't see any. This is going to be a long series. These two teams are too well right now and too kind of like on point right now. I don't think anybody's getting dominated in 4 or 5 games unless some crazy things happen and a collapse happens or something. But ultimately, my prediction, I'm gonna go. I'm going with the Pacers. I'm going with the Pacers in 6 or 7. I don't know. Is it 6 or 7? I'm go Indiana. I'll go Pacers in 7. I'll go Pacers in 7. I just think they're just on point right now, really, man. I mean, they're on point. I feel like everybody's eating. Their shooting is big. Again, I really think the bench difference is going to be a factor. It hasn't really been a factor for the Knicks all playoffs, but I think now it could come into play. I think they're just hitting on all cylinders. I think they can really, force the Knicks defense to kind of shift a lot, and I think they've been the best team probably in the playoffs so far. And I'm going with them. I don't want to bet against them, and what they're doing right now is amazing. I do think it's going to be a really good series. But ultimately, give me the Pacers. And now going out west, we have OKC, Minnesota. Thunder knock out the Nuggets in 7 games, while Minnesota took care of the Warriors in 5. This also should be another really good series. You got Shea and Ant, 2 of the top young guys in the league, going at it against each other. Both these teams trying to make a finals appearance for the first time in a very long time. The Thunder coming off a big win, the best team in the league, the best team left, probably record-wise and all that stuff, looking to kind of continue this mark. And I feel like that Nuggets series, that win, again the Nuggets series really like earned their stripes for OKC. I said it in my recap video I did yesterday about the Game 7. I feel like OKC earned their stripes after that series, be able to come back from down 2-1, win Game 4 and Game 5 that are very tight games when you lost Game 1 and 3 on tight games, and then coming out and dominating a Game 7 against probably the most experienced team in the postseason, and coming out and taking and like destroying them, taking care of them easily. Like OKC is really on it right now. But Minnesota has been maybe the most dominant team in this postseason. Took care of the Lakers, took care of the Warriors. Obviously, Steph Curry was injured, but still taking care of those two teams. They've looked very well. Anthony Edwards has been doing his thing. George Randall's probably been the most surprising player in this postseason. He's played like an all NBA type of guy. The defense has been really good. They also have some really good bench pieces. This should be another very entertaining and very, very good series. Looking at certain things, the Minnesota Timberwolves, their defensive schemes have been very interesting to see. When the first round against the Lakers, where they had their thing of like, we're just gonna Luka and LeBron do whatever they want. They're gonna be a scorer, not they're gonna be scorers. They're not gonna be facilitators, and we're gonna lock them down that way. The Warriors without Steph, it's like, all right, who's gonna step up? We're gonna guard all you. Like, okay, who's gonna step up? Y'all are gonna have to make shots. Guys like Brady Pajemski, Gary Payton, like y'all are gonna have to shoot and make shots. If you do, good job. I'm very interested to see what their scheme is going to be for OKC. Denver ran a scheme against OKC where it was like kind of a zone where every time Shea went to one side of the zone, it would be like a zone double team, to force the ball out of his hands and force other guys to make plays. And I'm very interested to see if Minnesota can do that because Minnesota has a way better defensive personnel than the Nuggets do. So I'm very interested to see what the Timberwolves' defensive scheme is going to be against the Thunder. I assume it's going to be something very similar where they're going to force Shea to get the ball out of his hands. We're going to force J-Dub and Chet, like, y'all are going to have to beat us, not Shea. Shea's not going to put on MVP type performances. I assume Jaden McDaniel's going to get the Shea assignment. But of course, guys like Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley are going to have to come over and double team and try to stop them. So I'm very interested in that defense. But OKC's defense is also very good. This could be a very good defensive matchup. Or OKC, you saw in a game 7 against Denver, they forced turnovers. They're a team that's like, hey, like you better take care of that ball because if not, we're winning this game. We're scoring 20 points off turnovers. And the Timberwolves have been good on turnovers, but they do have guys like Julius Randle has been prone to some turnovers. Anthony Edwards still is learning about his playmaking. He's been very, very good. But in this series, it's going to be a real test of his, playmaking and passing ability against this Thunder team. So the defensive matchup in this series can be very, very fun. Obviously, the Shea and Ants matchup is going to be very, very fun. I think for Minnesota, I think the X factor is still Julius Randle. Julius Randle has to keep playing at this level. I think if Julius Randle can really establish being the third best player in this series and being the better second option than what J-Dub and Chet with OKC can do, I think that can make a huge difference because Julius Randle has been really good. And with Thunder, obviously with them trying to really focus on Ant, if Julius Randle could take care of himself, especially with him being more of a back to the basket bully type of guy, he's probably going to get. I assume who's going to guard? Maybe does Chet guard Julius Randle? I assume. Does Chet guard Julius Randle? I assume maybe Chet guards Julius Randle because he has more of the foot speed. I was thinking Hartenstein, but maybe you want Hartenstein down there battling with Rudy Gobert, and coming in over for like, or maybe do they put Hartenstein on Randle so let Chet Holmgren come over and block the shots? But then again, I don't know if Hartenstein has the speed and to keep up with Randle. I don't know. It's maybe even J-Dub maybe get some cracks at Julius Randle just because he's got size to him. But if Julius Randle can really keep this all NBA type of thing up and really establish himself as like I am the third best player besides Ant and Shea, it's me. I think that could be huge. I think the 3-point battle is going to be a big part of this series. Both these teams, I feel like, haven't really shot the 3 ball super, super well, but they're two teams that will shoot the 3. They have guys like, it's going to be really about the others. Can Mike Conley, can Dante DiVincenzo and Nickeil Alexander-Walker outshoot OKC's Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Case and Wallace? Like, whose role players are going to step up and hit the most shots? Obviously, that's a thing for every playoff series and every playoff game, but I think it really is going to come into play this series because both these teams are going to kind of have to live with those guys shooting the ball. Both these teams are going to play a similar way where we're going to live with those guys shooting the ball and whatever happens, happens. So it's really going to be a battle of whose others can really make the most impact in this series. I think for OKC, for their, X factor, it's Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams hasn't had a great postseason run so far, but in this Minnesota series, he's really going to have to step up. I assume he's probably going to get the Ant assignment. Ant's probably going to guard J-Dub because you assume you got Jay McDaniels on Shea. I don't think you give Mike Conley the Jalen Williams. You probably put Mike Conley on Lou Dort in the corner, then Holmgren and Hartenstein guard the bigs. So, oh, well, no, I'm sorry. Randle and Gobert, you assume probably guard the bigs. Unless you put Randle maybe on Jalen Williams and have Ant guard like Chet. Like, and you could do that maybe. But I think Jalen Williams, if Jalen Williams, he's going to get one of probably the Ant or Randle assignments. So he's going to have to really try to put pressure not only just to score for himself, but also put pressure on the defense of Minnesota, in terms of attacking the rim and getting to the basket. It's tough with Rudy Gobert down there, but you have to do that. Also, I think the big matchup is going to be very something in this series because Rudy Gobert has not been super amazing, but we know he can do defensively. And for OKC, you have Hartenstein and Holmgren. You kind of have a similar, like, two big lineup with both these teams, where Randall and Gobert, Chet and Hartenstein. Chet and Hartenstein are bigger. They're both, like, centers, actually. Gobert's a center, Randall's more of a four. But I think I think if Minnesota or sorry, OKC can find a way to kind of, I guess, maybe play Rudy off the court in a sense, even though they're not shooting the ball super crazy. If they find a way to, if Rudy doesn't, I think I'm more talking about this from Minnesota side, where Rudy's really gonna have to be a factor in this series. I think his size and him just being in the paint. We saw what happened in the past two series with rebounding, well, me in the Denver series with rebounding and extra possessions. Aaron Gordon was a big play in that rebounding. Michael Porter Jr. has some big rebounding games. Like, that if Rudy Gobert can really establish himself in the paint, not scoring wise, but more rebounding and shot blocking, and just focus on that, I think that could be a big factor for Minnesota because OKC obviously running the two bigs. If Rudy Gobert is just dominating in that paint, you know, like that could be big for Minnesota for Rudy Gobert. Overall, my prediction in this series, I'm going with OKC. That Denver series really it really made me look at OKC not differently because I knew they were really good, but it just made me feel a lot more confident what OKC can do. Like, obviously, I think Minnesota could definitely win this series. I wouldn't be too shocked if Minnesota could win this series, but for me personally, I'm going OKC in 6. I'm going OKC in 6. I just think right now their confidence at an all-time high. I feel like they figured out kind of how to play in the playoffs. They figured out how to be a playoff team, and I think that's going to be. I think that's huge, confidence wise. Um, I think they're still running on adrenaline. I think J Dub has finally maybe cracked a code to learn how to play in the playoffs. They got guys like Alex Caruso and those guys coming off the bench that are probably on all confidence right now because of what they did in the Denver series. I think if those guys can outplay Minnesota's guys, then that could be big. But yeah, I'm gonna go OKC in this series. I think the defense, like forcing the turnovers, I think that they can really do it because Minnesota has been okay in this playoffs, but I feel like they're a team that kind of is prone a little bit to turnovers and stuff. So I think if OKC can really use that against Minnesota, that could be like obviously a game changer. So I'm gonna go OKC, but I won't be surprised if Minnesota wins the series, and I'm very, very excited for this series. But looking at the landscape of the NBA right now, it's crazy. Either Shea, Ant, Brunson, or Halliburton are gonna win a championship this year. Like, isn't that so exciting that we have like the new NBA here where everybody wins a ring and you never know what's really going to happen? Like, this is going to be our, what, 7th straight year with a new champion. Especially this year, we're going to see a champion we haven't seen in a long time. Either OKC is going to win their first one since they're Seattle in like the 70s, New York's going to win their first one since the 70s, or Indiana or Minnesota are going to win their first ever championship. Like, isn't that so, like, exciting? Like, at least for me, it is. For me, it's exciting. And it's so awesome to see, like, we got all these new teams, these new players, being in this type of situation. It should make for some really, really great basketball. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really upset a lot. Once again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so support on our channel. Be very much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.